Selene's world had once been full of laughter and love, but after her mother's death, everything changed. Her father, a prosperous merchant, remarried a woman named Claudia, whose beauty was as cold as her heart. The joy that had filled their home quickly disappeared, replaced by tension and sorrow. Claudia never saw Selene as a daughter. She was a constant reminder of a past she wished to erase. The house, once warm and inviting, became a prison. Selene's chores were endless, her meals meager, and her spirit slowly withered under Claudia's harsh treatment. Selene's father, once vibrant and full of hope, was now a broken man, drowning in debt from his failed business ventures. His once strong love for his daughter was clouded by financial worries, and as the weight of their debts grew, so did the distance between him and Selene. As the months passed, Claudia saw an opportunity in their desperation. One evening, while her husband sat overwhelmed with the mounting bills, Claudia approached him with a plan that would change Selene's life forever. "Darling," she said sweetly, her voice smooth like velvet, "there is a way we can save ourselves." Her husband looked up, weary. "What do you mean?" Claudia's eyes gleamed. "There is a rich family looking for a bride for their son. They've offered a generous dowry. If we marry Selene to him, we can clear our debts and live comfortably again." Her words hit Selene's father like a cold slap. He hesitated, but, consumed by fear of losing everything, he eventually agreed. Though his heart ached for his daughter, he saw no other choice. In the corner, Selene overheard it all. Her heart shattered as she realized what was happening. Her future was no longer her own. She was being sold to the highest bidder, and her father, the one person who had always protected her, was the one pushing her into it. The days leading up to the wedding were filled with tension. Selene's heart broke with each passing moment as her father avoided her gaze, his guilt palpable. Claudia, on the other hand, was almost jubilant, making all the arrangements as though she were preparing for a grand celebration. Selene, however, was trapped in a nightmare. The night before the wedding, she found herself standing alone in the garden, gazing up at the stars. The soft rustle of the trees whispered to her, but it couldn't drown the pain in her heart. "Why is this happening?" she whispered to the night. "Why must I pay for their mistakes?" It was then that something inside Selene began to stir. The resignation that had plagued her for so long began to melt away. She couldn't go through with it. She wouldn't. As the wedding day drew closer, Selene found herself wandering the village marketplace, searching for a sense of peace. It was there that she met Julian, a kind-hearted young craftsman who had recently moved to the village. Julian was different from anyone Selene had ever met. He didn't see her as a prize to be won or a burden to bear. He saw her as a person, someone with dreams and feelings. Their conversations began with simple pleasantries, but soon, they found themselves sharing their hopes, their fears, and their dreams. Julian's laugh was like a breath of fresh air, and for the first time in weeks, Selene felt alive again. He listened to her with kindness and understanding, and slowly, the walls around her heart began to fall. But as their connection grew, so did the pressure on Selene to marry the man her father had chosen for her. The thought of losing Julian crushed her, but she didn't see a way out. On the day before her wedding, Selene stood before the mirror, her hands trembling as she touched the fine dress that had been laid out for her. The dress was beautiful, but it felt like a chain. She wasn't meant to wear this gown. She was meant to be loved, not sold. That night, as the house fell silent, Selene made a decision. She packed a small bag, taking only the essentials, her mother's pendant, a few clothes, and some bread. She slipped out of her room, moving quietly through the darkened halls, past Claudia's sleeping figure. At the edge of the village, she met Julian under the old oak tree. His face was a mixture of relief and determination. "You came," he said softly. "I couldn't stay," Selene replied, tears welling in her eyes. "I can't marry him. I won't." Julian took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "Then we'll leave. We'll start over. Just the two of us." Selene and Julian fled under the cover of darkness, their hearts racing with both fear and excitement. They traveled through the night, guided by the stars. Behind them, The world they knew seemed to fade away, and ahead of them, an uncertain but hopeful future awaited. By dawn, they reached the hills just outside the village. The sun began to rise, painting the sky with soft hues of pink and gold. Selene turned to Julian, her eyes filled with gratitude and love. "This is what freedom feels like," she whispered. In that moment, she realized that she had made the right choice. Her heart was finally free, and her future was hers to shape. Selene and Julian settled in a small, quiet village far from the reach of her stepmother and father. They built a life together, starting with a modest shop. They grew their own food, and every day was a new beginning, one full of laughter, love, and dreams. Though they faced hardships, they faced them together. Every moment they shared brought them closer, and Selene found happiness she had once thought impossible. The love they had was strong, built on trust, respect, and the freedom to choose their own path. Years passed, and Selene's life had transformed in ways she had never imagined. Her father, now regretful and consumed with guilt, searched for her, but she was long gone. Claudia, once so confident in her manipulation, had fallen into ruin, her wealth and influence slipping through her fingers. Selene never looked back with bitterness. She had found a love that was real, a life built on her own terms. As she watched her children play beneath the same stars she had once cried to, she smiled, knowing that she had fought for her happiness. In a world where greed tried to steal her future, Selene chose love, and found freedom in the arms of the one who saw her heart.